Okay, so it is day one of week 2 for September of 2020. It still feels weird saying September. This year, it's gone really quickly. It's been a tough year, but it's gone really quickly all at the same time. Anyway, let's get into what I have been reading for day one. I have started P.S. I Like You by Casey West. P.S. I'm not a massive fan of this book. Casey West hasn't done anything wrong. I think this book absolutely fits the brief. This is a YA romance, and I'm not a very big romancy fan, but I wanted to expand my horizons, and Casey West has come very highly recommended if you're going to go into the romance world. Not enjoying it though. Again, Casey West hasn't done anything wrong. The writing style is really easy to read. The story is intriguing enough to get into, but I don't know, there's just something about this book that makes it fall into the it's okay category rather than the it's amazing category. So again, it's not bad. It's just not amazing. So the premise of this book is that it follows a girl who I've just forgotten her name. I think it's Lily. Yes, it is. Okay. I was just reading this and I forgot her name. Okay, so it follows a girl named Lily who one day she goes into her chemistry class and writes a song lyric onto the table that she's sitting on. The next time she comes back, she sees that someone has written a response to this song lyric on the table, and so she writes back to the response. Eventually, the responses continue, and eventually they go from being on the table to a letter that is stuck under the table, and every time that Lily comes into the room, she finds another letter that's written from the respondent, and then she responds and places her letter back under the table, and so on and so forth. We continue. There's more that happens in the story, but this is the main focus of the plot when it comes to this book. Now, I have no problem with the anonymous letter trope. In fact, I quite enjoy it. A book that I read not too long ago is Letters to the Lost, and that book is a very hard-hitting contemporary that deals with two people, in amongst other heavy things that are going on in that book, who are anonymously writing to each other. I have no issue with that. But with this book, our protagonist, Lily, is trying to work out who her anonymous writer is, and very early on, I concluded who I thought the writer was, and I was right. Normally, I'm really happy when I pick who done it in any whodunit scenario, whether it be a murder or, in this case, an anonymous letter. When you're trying to work out a mystery, I love when I am correct with my answer, but I feel like I'm correct because Casey West made it really obvious. So while our protagonist is listing out all these people that she thinks could potentially be the person who's writing to her, I'm going, okay, I doubt it's this person. I doubt it's that person. It'd be nice if it was this person, but what's the bet it's this person? Because to me, it's just so obvious that it's this person. And then it turned out to be that person. So I was really let down by that. I'm also starting to get more and more let down by the cheesiness of this book. I think it's a great book to anyone who wants to read a beautiful YA romance, but I don't know. I never thought I'd say I feel too old for a book, but I think I've outgrown this sort of thing. I wish that I had Casey West when I was a lot younger, when I was a teenager. I probably would have really loved this book, but I don't know. I feel a little too old for this book, so I feel like it's definitely on the younger side of the YA scale. So we'll see how we go. But anyway, the reason why I know I was right was because before we even reached the halfway mark, we get confirmation on who is writing to her. So I feel like the point and the purpose of this book is not to work out who it is, because if it was, we would have found that out a lot closer to the end. So I'm holding on to some kind of hope that there's something bigger that's coming up down the track, and we'll see where we go with that. There's a lot more that I want to say, but I feel like it would be too much of a spoiler to put into a weekly reading vlog. Anyway, I'm at page 193, chapter 31, and I probably have like 100 or so pages left. How many pages are in this book? Okay, there's 329, so I've got about 130 odd pages to go, and I've already read 193 in one day, so I'll definitely have this finished off tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be able to give you a more positive way that I'm feeling about this book, because right now, as I said, I just feel for the intended target audience, I think it's a good book, but for me, I feel like I've outgrown this sort of thing, so maybe I should be looking for more of an adult romance book. And if you have any recommendations for an adult romance book that isn't smut, okay, I want genuine, loving romance done in an adult way, please let me know. But anyway, once I finish this tomorrow, I'm going to be picking up this book, Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. It's funny, if I feel I've outgrown this YA romance, I'm going to go from this to a middle grade fantasy. But yeah, we'll see how we go with this one. So in March, I read The Heroes of Olympus, The Lost Hero, and I absolutely loved this book. And then I found out that that book is part of a side series to the original series, the Percy Jackson series. So a couple of months later, I read the first Percy Jackson book, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. I did not like that book. So I decided to DNF that particular series. And then, a couple of weeks ago, I received a mystery box of books from my library, where you tell your library what type of books you like, and they just throw in books without you requesting anything specifically. They just go off the genres that they know you like. And this book appeared there. And that was the Angel's way of telling me, you may think you're done, Mr. Fancy, but you're not done yet. You're at least going to get through this one. So I'm hoping when I get through this one that I'm going to say, you guys, I'm so turned around on this and I can't wait to read book 3. But I'm going to go in with a little bit of anxiety considering how things were for me at the end of Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. To be fair, when I read Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, having come off The Heroes of Olympus, The Lost Hero, which is a lot longer than Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, I think I compared the two, and I probably shouldn't have. Rick Riordan wrote The Heroes of Olympus, The Lost Hero a lot later on in his writing career compared to Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. So we'll see how we go. But if I don't like this book, then I will make a promise and a vow that I will move on to book 2 in the Heroes of Olympus series, as opposed to book 3 of the Percy Jackson series. So I'm at least going to read some more Rick Riordan. But we'll see how we go. These are the 2 books I discussed on day 1 for this week's reading vlog. And I'll be back with you guys with more should be on Tuesday. I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Okay, so checking in with another update. I ended up finishing off P.S. I Love You. I don't have it on me. It's in another room, so I'll just quickly put a picture of it up. And you know what? Sometimes people get things wrong, and this humble reviewer knows when to take something back. While I did not enjoy the first half of the book, and while I did find it to be a little immature and found myself feeling too old for it, the second half of the book was actually really, really good. So good that it made up for the first half. And I guess one of the things that I love about weekly vlogs is I get to chat to you guys while I'm reading the book, rather than in a review where I'm giving you my final thoughts after I've read everything. So it's great that you're going to have yesterday's review tell you this is not the book for me and I'm too old for this and da-da-da-da, to today with me saying, you know what, this book was actually amazing and I was just calling it way too early. Yeah, I have a lot of love for Casey West. There was so much more to the book than just trying to work out who the anonymous responder was, and it was just really, really good. So, as I said, I finished that book yesterday. So today, I originally planned on picking up Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, but then something happened last night. So I couldn't sleep, and I was looking at my bookshelf, and the books that I'm currently reading, so say like, if I'm currently reading a book, I'll have that one and the next one or the next two. I have them in my office. But I was in my bedroom, I couldn't sleep, and I spied a book that I've been wanting to read for a long time, but I just ended up putting it back on my bookshelf and totally forgetting about it until then. So I picked it up and thought, you know what, I'm going to read Percy Jackson after this book. The book I picked up was Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez. I actually received this book a little while ago from my bookstore. I don't remember when I received it exactly, but I ordered a ton of books from them and they threw this one in complimentarily. And when I read the premise of this book, which is something about here we go, it's on the back. An utterly joyful queer reimagining of Greece. When I read that, I got really excited and then put it on my shelf and totally forgot about it. So I've picked it up and I'm actually quite far into the book already. So I started reading it last night and then continued on today and I'm there, which is 256 pages in, which is a lot further than I thought I would be. So let's talk about my thoughts about this book. Okay, so we are following someone. I think it's Ollie, and if I'm wrong, I'll correct it to next time I check in with you guys. But we're following this guy, and kind of like with Grease, if you've seen the film, then you may remember that Sandy and Danny had a summer fling, and then they went back. Well, then Danny went back to school. Sandy had moved schools to Danny's school without knowing that he went there, and things went down where Danny was completely different around Sandy at school compared to how he was that summer. And this is an LGBTIQ plus reimagining of Grease. It's a retelling just with two guys rather than a boy and a girl. It's two boys. So one boy, our protagonist, he's out and proud and doesn't really allow anything to limit him. And the guy that he was having a fling with, Will, is an athletic jock type who can't bring himself to come out to his friends, let alone his family, who we had a scene with his family quite a few chapters back. Yeah, I can see why he doesn't want to come out to them. It doesn't seem like they would be that supportive. And it's been interesting. I'm enjoying the plot of the book, but one thing I'm not enjoying is that Ollie is so stuck in his head, and it's annoying me, you guys. Like, I have been silently, in my mind, yelling at Ollie reading this book. There are things he keeps thinking that all I can think is just say it. Don't keep it inside. Just say what you're thinking. And he's not doing that. But anyway, it is what it is. And this book is what it is. It is what the premise has promised. It's an LGBTIQ plus retelling version of Grease. And it's okay. I probably give it 3 stars. I thought it would be a lot better than it is, but it's not a bad book. So 3 stars at the moment, but hey, we all saw what happened with P.S. I Love You, so we'll all see what ends up happening with this book. So, once I finish this book, I'll go back to my original plan, which is to read Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. So next time you guys see me, I'll update you on my final thoughts on this book and how things are going with Percy Jackson. Only this time, I actually should be picking up that book, so we'll see how we go. I also just want to make the point that while I do have reservations when it comes to picking up Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, I did not pick up this book to delay picking up Percy Jackson. If anything, I'm the sort of person who, if I'm coming into something I don't want to do, I'd rather just do it and get it over and done with. So I would usually be the sort of reader that would say, let's read Percy Jackson now so I can get it out the way. But due to a set of circumstances last night, I found this book at the right time and started reading it. But definitely next time you'll hear me talking about Percy Jackson. I will leave that there. 3 stars at the moment. But famous last words. So we'll see how we go. Alright, you guys, letting you go. Peace, blessings, and so much love. And I'll see you in the next one. Okay, so it is Thursday, which means it's time to do another check-in for my weekly reading vlog. So yesterday I finished off Only Mostly Devastated. It's in another room and I just can't be bothered getting it right now, so I'll just put a picture of it up there. Yeah, so I finished off this book and it's interesting because I was just saying to you guys last time, famous last words, I don't like it right now, but I'm probably going to love the ending. I did like the ending, but overall, the book was a letdown. Honestly, the fact that it is named Only Mostly Devastated is so adequate, because my feelings on that book is that I was only mostly devastating. It was a mostly devastating book. It just made me really sad because the LGBTIQ plus representation when it comes to books is something that is relatively recent. When we think about the first books that were written and the famous books from eons ago, such as The Lord of the Rings and other famous classics, LGBTIQ plus books really weren't around that often back then, and certainly for me growing up, they weren't around. So getting the opportunity to put my hands on LGBTIQ plus books these days is a real honor for me. And then to read books that just, oh my gosh, fall so short of what LGBTIQ plus representation deserves, just really annoyed me. So one issue that I had with this book is that the protagonist is so wrapped up and caught in his head through the entire book, and even when he's having a conversation with someone, like, he will say something like, "Hi, how are you?" And then in his mind think, "I'm sure you're having a really bad day," and then they'll say, "Oh, I'm good, and you?" "Oh, I'm doing good. What are you up to today?" "I'm sure you're just pining around for your boyfriend." "Oh, I'm doing da-da-da." It was just, it started off being funny, as you can imagine it would be, but this was something that just became so incessant in the book that it went from being really funny to just really boring to really annoying. The final 30 pages of the book were really good, but it wasn't enough to make up for an overall lousy book. And I do have to say that Sophie Gonzalez decided to add the trope of grief and loss into this book, and I am a massive fan of hard-hitting topics being explored in books, particularly in YA books, but this just felt like an author that was adding in a trope purely to add more pages to the book. I don't feel like it gave the book anything extra. It literally felt like an interruption to the book. When I'm following along with an okay storyline and I'm really intrigued to see what's going to happen next in the storyline, to be constantly bombarded with, "No, side plot, remember?" And then, you get back to the original plot and it's okay, but you really want to see more from that plot, and then, "Oh, but, side plot, remember me? Hi, I'm just coming in to say hi." And then it goes away again, and then, you go along with the plot again. "Oh, remember me? Side plot, I'm still here." And it just got really annoying. It did not need to be there. In fact, even though the book would have been significantly shorter without the side plot, I feel like it would have been a much better book without adding in this side plot trope of grief and loss. Again, I have thoughts and feelings on adding in any hard topics in YA books, especially YA contemporary books. I think they're wonderful, and I think that they will teach anyone who's going to read them very valuable lessons about certain hard topics that are not normally discussed. But if you are putting in a topic purely for the sake of adding pages and words to a book and not because it really goes with the book, then it can be extremely off-putting. So 2 stars for that one. What did I do today? I picked up the book that I've been anxious about this whole time. Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. Okay. Look, it's okay. If I thought that this book was going to be a 1 star, it's probably at the moment averaging out to a 3 star, so it's better than I thought, but it's still not amazing. But hey, gotta give it credit where it's due. It's better than I thought. Only slightly, but credit where it's due. So I'm there at the moment, which is page 128, which is literally just under halfway. I think the halfway mark is like 133 pages, so I'm literally a couple of pages away from being halfway through the book. I should have this finished off tomorrow. I had a busy day today. If my day was a standard day, I would have gotten past the halfway mark easily, so I think I can finish this book off tomorrow and have no issues. Tomorrow, when I finish this book, tomorrow, Friday, I'm then also going to pick up the next book I'm reading, which is in another room as well. So hopefully we can put another picture up. And that is Nobody Real by, I think his name is Stephen Camden or Steve Camden. So I'm looking forward to reading this. It's a YA contemporary. Hopefully it's done well. We'll see how we go. But this week has been a week of YA, middle grade, and then more YA. So it's been okay. How's your reading week going? I'll check in with you guys one more time to wrap up the week on Saturday. But till then, mwah! Okay, so it's Friday, and generally speaking, I don't come and update you guys on Friday, but today I am, for a bit of a sad, downer reason. I finished Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, and this book was going to answer the question, do I continue on with this series? It did. I won't be. I did not really enjoy this book. Well, there's one saving grace to this book, and that is that there's a new character that's introduced in the book whose name is Tyson. Tyson is a mythological creature, so I won't say much about the character other than the character's name. But I just love Tyson's personality. He's just, he has such an adorable soul, and I just really appreciated that. But everything else, from the plot to the other characters, I just did not enjoy this book. And so it answered the question for me, do I continue on with the Percy Jackson series? With a resounding no. So I am thinking of picking up book 2 in the Heroes of Olympus series to see if I want to continue on with that one. I know that that's a branch off of this series, and it will probably feel a little bit wrong to pick up the second book in a series that's continuing this series in a different vein, but I really loved The Lost Hero, so we'll see how we go. Plus, they're much bigger reads. These are a lot shorter, and yeah, we'll see how we go. I did like that first one. But yeah, no, I'm not continuing on with Percy Jackson anymore. This is a library copy. I'm thrilled by that. I'm not purchasing my own copy. I've had library books before that I've loved, that I've ended up purchasing my own copy of because I love them so much. I can return this to my local library once the pandemic and lockdown is over, and not have to worry about getting a copy of this book because I don't need to read it again. So, just quickly, because I haven't addressed this yet, I am here in my dressing gown because it is rather late, and I have been reading rather late into the night these days, and it's a reading vlog, so it really shouldn't matter if I'm wearing a dressing gown, so I'm letting it go. I have done other reading vlogs where I've been wearing my dressing gown and I just take it off and put it to the side out of the camera, but it's a reading vlog, who cares? So I'm going to keep it on. It's quite cool and cold. while in America it's summer, it's winter. Yeah, well, actually, officially, it's the start of spring, but it still feels like winter. So, yeah. Okay, let's move on. So, I then picked up Nobody Real by Stephen Camden. This book was strange. Okay, strange. The word I want to use to best describe this book is the musical term staccato. Now, staccato is rather than music slurring and sliding all over the place, staccato is when it goes boom, 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 boom. Staccato. And that's what this reads like. Seriously, I didn't feel like there were any proper sentences anywhere from the little I read. I ended up DNFing this after like 2 chapters because it was... So you've got a great tagline here. And in case you can't read it, it says, she's real, full stop. He's not, full stop. Together they're everything, full stop. And that's literally how it reads, and it was just really bugging me. Also, I had no idea what was going on, because we're starting off in this, what do you call them? Can't think of the word. Therapist's office with our protagonist who, I don't remember their name, but anyway, we're with the protagonist and a therapist, and the therapist keeps talking about the protagonist's maker, and it was just annoying me, thinking, who the heck is that? It wasn't even explained what was going on, and you have to run alongside the character. Now, I've read books where you don't find out what the deal is for a while, and you're just running alongside the main character trying to catch up. I've read books like that before, and I've been okay with them. But that added to the staccato writing style of this book, no. So I DNF'd this book. I then picked up The Lies of Locke Lamora. I don't have it in this room, so I'm just going to put a picture of it up there. I picked up The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch because after being really disappointed with Percy Jackson and then DNFing Nobody Real, I needed a book that was going to make me happy. And from the recommendations that I've heard, especially from people who have read The Lies of Locke Lamora, it's a really good book. So I thought, you know what, it's not on my TBR. I was going to read it next month, but I'll pick it up now because I need a book that's going to put me into a good mood. The reason it's not here is because I DNF'd this book too, and this is why I'm checking in with you guys. I finished a book, DNF'd a book, then DNF'd another book, all in the space of the same day. But anyway, so I'm very disappointed. Okay, what can I say about The Lies of Locke Lamora? First of all, there is a ton of swearing in this book, and I tried to let it go, but if characters are going to swear because it is reflecting how they're actually feeling, that's one thing, and I can try and let that go a lot more. I'm just not a fan of that type of language. I don't think we need coarse language in books. That's just my opinion. The English language is so vast that we don't need to be using the F word, the C word, the S word. We can be adding in better suited terms than this. And sometimes when I read swearing, it works because a character is so completely outraged that they will say the F word, and it might happen 5 times max throughout the whole book. I can let that go. But then there are other times where I'm reading a book and characters are swearing purely because that's just the way they talk and there's no real need for it to be there. For example, if you have an angry character saying F you, it makes sense because they're angry and they're really upset, so they're, getting their point across. But if you have a character that's saying, oh, so effing yesterday I went to the effing shops, and while I was effing there, I saw effing Martha who told me about effing Sam, and effing Sam bought this effing top, and why are you doing this? It just doesn't make any sense to me. There's another reason why I DNF'd The Lies of Locke Lamora, and that was the graphicness of items. that should be left in your bathroom. Okay, if you get my gist. So, yeah. The amount of discussion of urine and the amount of discussion of the other thing you might leave in your bathroom. This and the swearing all coupled together, I think I lasted at least 30 pages, at least. But by the time I got there, I got to a point where I kept saying to myself, keep going, it'll be worth it. People say this is amazing, just keep pushing through, it's okay, it's not gonna keep going like this. But by the time I got to that 30-page mark, I was like, no, stop, I'm done, I can't. To me, it was just blatant unnecessariness, if that's a word. Unnecessary swearing, unnecessary graphicness. It just wasn't necessary. And as one of my dear best friends and editors once told me, if it's not necessary, what is it doing there? And yeah, Scott Lynch does not want to have a meeting with me. A lot of people love The Lies of Locke Lamora, and so I did purchase a copy of this book. It's going to go on my DNF shelf. But yeah, so don't allow me to discourage you from reading it. If you're okay with this kind of stuff, pick it up. You might love it. But I wish someone had said to me, you might love this book, but please be aware that there's a lot of swearing just for the sake of swearing. There's no reason behind it. And it's very graphic about things you should be leaving in your bathroom. Because that's a turn off to me too. So then I ended up picking up Calamity by Brandon Sanderson, because this was the next book on my actual TBR. And also, there is nothing, and I do mean nothing, like being in a really bad, foul book mood and picking up my dear friend, Mr. Brandon Sanderson. So, he always puts me in a good mood, and this is the third and, I think, at least so far, final book in the Reckoners series. So you can see there it says The Reckoners Book 3. And I'm enjoying the start of this book. So there is a lot that I can't really say about the book because it's book 3 in the series, so it'll spoil a lot of things, but I am enjoying this book. And that's what I needed. I needed a book that was going to make me happy and make me want to keep reading, because the 3 books that I was reading today were not doing that, and they were really upsetting me. And so, thank you, Brandon Sanderson. Once again, you've come through for me, my dear friend. Alright, I am going to leave that there. And yeah, I don't know if we'll be back tomorrow with another update or not. So, yeah, I don't know. There is something I wanted to see in the second book in this series that we did not get to see happen due to reasons. This time, I'm getting to see it. And I almost wish, even though, look, book 2 was good. It was a solid book. I gave it a solid 4 stars. But part of me wishes that book 2 wasn't there, and that this series was a duology that went from Steelheart to Calamity, because yeah, Steelheart got 5 stars, and the way this book's going, it's going to receive 5 stars as well. It's going to take a lot for this book to receive 4 stars, let alone 3 stars. But Brandon Sanderson, he always does really well with me. The lowest rated Sanderson book I've read was a 3-star book. It was The Alloy of Law, the 4th book in the Mistborn series, the 1st book in the second era. And that's more personal preference, or something that happened in that book that I personally didn't appreciate, and it let me down. So it suffered in the ratings for that. Brandon didn't do anything wrong with it. It was just personal preference. But back to this book. I'm having a blast with this book. I'm really enjoying it. I literally have to put this book down now and go off and do other things, and I don't want to. And so that is where you know you've got a solid 5-star book on your hands, when you want to just keep reading, but you just don't have the time to do that. So with what's going to happen next week, so I'll just let you guys know so that we can end this video and you can anticipate next week's reading vlog. I am obviously going to finish this book, so I've given myself until Tuesday night, so the next time you guys will see me, I'll be wrapping up my final thoughts on this book. And then on Wednesday, I am extremely excited to be picking up Igniting the Phoenix, which is an incredibly heavy book. Like, seriously. This book, which I think has less pages, I don't know, but I think it does, is much lighter than this book. This book looks deceptively light, but trust me, it's incredibly heavy. Okay, Igniting the Phoenix by Alethea Sturon. I need to make sure I get her first name right because I had been saying Althea for a while, but it's Alethea. Igniting the Phoenix by Alethea Sturon. It's the first book in the Weapon of War series, and I am incredibly excited to get to this book because of nothing to do with the actual book itself. I know it sounds wrong, but bear with me. I found out about this book not through BookTube. I found out about this book through Audible, and I'll tell you why. I was looking into books that my favourite booktuber, Murphy from booktuber channel Murphy Napier, and Daniel from booktuber channel Daniel Green had done, and this book popped up as a book that both of them had collaborated on together. To have an experience where both of my favourite booktubers are going to be together reading me a story, I mean, this book could be the biggest flop in the world and I wouldn't care because Murphy and Daniel are going to read me a story. Like, I'm just really excited about that. I hope that it's a good book, but even if it's a flop, I think I'll just enjoy the experience of having Murphy and Daniel reading the book to me. So I don't want to know anything about this book. I want to go in blind. The little that I do know is the sword on the cover is representative of a sword that it's part of the magic system. I know that much, but I don't remember much else, which I'm really, really happy about. There's a tag on the cover. It says, "That which is perceived is not easily forgotten." I'm going to leave that there. I'm really looking forward to reading this, and I'm definitely going to be reading it while listening to the audio. Can't wait for Murphy and Daniel to read me this book. I'm just really excited. So I will read Igniting the Phoenix on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then on Saturday, I'll be picking up What If It's Us, which is my second contemporary book that I'm reading by Adam Silvera. This book is by Adam Silvera and Becky Albertalli, and it is another LGBTIQ plus book. It has little bumps on it, which I really love. I didn't notice the sticky tape at the top is a bump as well, but that's pretty cool. Okay, so last month I read History Is All You Left Me, a contemporary book by Adam Silvera, an LGBTIQ plus contemporary book by Adam Silvera, and this book was incredible from start to end. I have reviewed it, so yeah, feel free to go and check that out in my review section. And I gave it 5 stars, and I just needed to read more Adam Silvera. Despite the fact that this is co-authored by Becky Albertalli, I am definitely looking forward to picking up this book. So we'll see how we go. And this will get me through the remainder of the week, reading this book over the course of the weekend. It's 433 pages long, which is a tall order to read in 2 days. So we'll see how we go. Maybe it will stretch longer than that. But anyway, so this is what I was reading today, Calamity by Brandon Sanderson, and by far and away is the best book I've read so far this week, so yay. And I'm projecting it to be a 5-star book, and these are the books I plan on reading and discussing with you guys next week. Thank you so very much for tuning in for this week's weekly reading vlog. I post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I will see you again soon. Mwah. Thank you so much for watching. Peace, blessings, and so much love. Bye!